The views, opinions, and representations expressed on the Night Dreams Talk Radio Network and its website are those of the hosts, guests, and participants, and are not necessarily those of or endorsed by the network, its affiliated stations and broadcasts, the management, other hosts, or advertisers of the network. The shows found on the Night Dreams Talk Radio Network can, but do not necessarily, promote any particular lifestyle, belief, religion, political affiliation, or other personal practice. These shows are for entertainment purposes only and are not intended to treat, diagnose, and or claim any cure of disease or condition or give any medical or legal advice. You are listening to Night Dreams Talk Radio Network, from our compound to you worldwide, with your host, Gary Anderson.
Well, good evening or morning, depending on your time zone, to the Pacific, to the Atlantic, to worldwide. You're listening to me on Night Dreams Talk Radio After Dark. Tonight, we're going to have a great guest on. We're going to be talking about his adventures out looking for the Bigfoot. But before we do that, you might want to get yourself a nice cup of Java, a hot cocoa, maybe curl up next to that fire. We'll be on right after this.
You can advertise your business on Night Dreams Talk Radio, and you will be heard worldwide. Why not contact us at nightdreamstalkradio@gmail.com.
You're listening to my friend Gary Anderson on Night Dreams Talk Radio, the best in paranormal radio.
John, I keep telling you every night I try to be. Kind of a sad day today. The last couple of days, we have lost some big people. We lost Doris Day, if everybody remembers her, and the nice movies she made, the TV show like the Doris Day Show. And then we lost Stanton Freeman, the guy who was trying his best for the years to prove that UFOs exist. We lost him yesterday, and then this morning around 8 o'clock, we lost Tim Conway. You know, Tim Conway started out his acting career in McHale's Navy. And then, you know, as a lot of people remember, he was on a very famous TV show on numerous times, Carol Burnett show, you know, and I'll tell you what, he actually enjoyed one of his co-stars wetting his pants because all the strange jokes, you know, he would ad-lib. I don't know. It seems like the older you get, the more people seem to pass on. Well, anyway, we have Joe Taylor on here tonight. He's going to be talking about, well, his last excursion looking for Bigfoot. Hey, Joe, how you doing, my friend? It's been a couple weeks, at least, since we talked to you.
Yeah, doing fine. Thank you.
Well, how was this trip, and can you explain, you know, how long you're planning, we're planning for this trip, and where did you go, and what, you know, we got a whole hour to talk about it, so let's get into it.
Well, I had a lot of work to do here at the museum. I've got a bunch of murals I'm supposed to be painting, and a bunch of other things, but these guys wanted me to go with them. They needed a bone guy, and I know bones, you know, modern and fossil bones. So we were going to go last January, but everybody got sick. We couldn't go, and the reason we were going to go in January is because we were going to go into a very remote part of Death Valley, way the heck over there. I mean, it's almost nobody's been in there that we know of. So it finally came up we could all go a few weeks ago. And, wow, it's pretty hot out there at this time of year, even now, you know. But the reason I went, not only was it fascinating to go searching for anything, but especially something as crazy as Bigfoot and all that stuff. But here's three guys, top Bigfooters in the world. One of them is Ron Moorhead, who's got his own TV show, I think, now. Long-time Bigfooter. He's made recordings of them, had all kinds of interaction. And he had just had brain surgery last year, and his balance wasn't back. Okay, he's 73, I think. The other guy was in his 60s, and that guy named M.K. Davis is a long-time Bigfooter. He's a computer guy and does computer analytics and all that. He's had access to an original a copy of the original Patty film, the Patterson-Gimlin film. And, you know, he's no Johnny come lately, but he's having some health problems. He had just gotten over some things, and he's willing to go. The other fellow is Don Monroe, and this guy has seen Bigfoot 6 times, had all kinds of interactions with him. They've stolen his stuff. He's made plaster prints of their hands or their feet, all kinds of stuff. He really has a fascinating story. Done a lot of research with him, and has published a book called Here Come the Braided Horses, about all the horses' manes on ranches in Idaho and other places, where the horses come in, expensive horses, feral horses, regular cowboy horses. They come with their manes braided up. And so he started collecting all the stuff, information on them. Don is 84, and I'm going to tell these guys, no, I can't come. No, you know, I mean, if they're going to go, I got to go. And, you know, I've got a bad knee. And I told him, I said, I don't want to hold the expedition up. You know, I might get out there and can't do anything. Well, where we were going to originally go, it was impossible or improbable for us to go that time of the year. So they said, well, heck, let's go some other places. So we saw, oh my gosh, I don't even know where we were. We drove all over parts of Nevada and California, and you don't know where you are half the time. One volcanic mountain after the other. I couldn't believe how much volcanism there's been out there. It's just rocks. And nothing grows on these hills, these mountains. I mean, nothing you can really see, but you know, there's a few things there. So you're thinking, this is so desolate, there wouldn't even be a rabbit in here. Well, there was a rabbit. And there wouldn't be anything, a rattlesnake. And sure enough, they stirred up a pink rattlesnake. You ever heard of pink rattlesnakes?
No, but I stepped into a bunch of rattlesnakes one time in my life. I never want to do that again.
I suppose you became a pole vaulter at that moment.
I can tell you, I could scream like a girl.
Yeah, I stepped right at the big middle one time. I'm going to bird here a minute. I was out with one of my boys. He's about 8 years old. We were walking along in the grass there, going down to a fossil site. I said, watch for snakes, watch for snakes. Boom, stepped right in the middle of one, coiled up. I know I jumped 2 feet in the air, and I'm not athletic. Yeah, I'm not the Mr. Football guy. I jumped straight up, and I must have been like Wile E. Coyote, went straight forward.
Well, you know.
Anyway, I missed the...
I was going to say, what I did, I was out going to Spokane. I think it was like in July. This is years ago. And I was taking pictures like of old ghost towns, windmills. And I saw this old windmill. So I pulled off the side of the road and I went down the bank. And when I got down the bank, I took a little jump off the bank and there was like about 15, 20 rattlesnakes right there. And I'll tell you one thing. I was surprised I never got bit. I mean, but then the same trip, me and my sons, we ended up in Reno, then somewhere, actually it was in Oregon before we went the back way into Reno. And actually it goes from part of Oregon, goes into California, and then it goes into Nevada. It's a weird, area. Short distances, how the states all kind of intermix right there. And we were at this old farmhouse that's probably been abandoned for the last 50, 60 years. And one of my sons goes up to these gopher holes and starts putting a stick down it. And I said, hey, that isn't a gopher hole. Sure enough, a snake came out. They ran into my pickup truck. That's where they stayed.
Yeah. Oh, man. Well, I was down collecting buffalo bones on a creek, on a bluff on a creek here in Texas. And it was, I think, February. You're not supposed to be any snakes out in February. And I looked over there. Well, there's a nice bone. I was at 20 feet down, and it's there was a rock layer there. And I reached over to pick up the bone, and here's like 24 little rattlesnakes. And so I killed several of them. And then I looked down, and one of them striking at my boot, a little bitty one. Oh, good grief. So, after that, I said, okay, snakes are out year-round. I'm just going to pretend they're out all the time. But the ones in Nevada out there in Death Valley, I think they're Mojave rattlers, and this pink one, which I can't think of the name, they're pretty bad. You don't want to get bit one of those things, especially if you're in a remote area. So we were all cautioned to bring protection, and you've got to take enough water. If you're not careful, you're dehydrated. You don't know it. That gets a lot of people. You got to take enough food, not too much food. All the stuff you can't. If it gets cold, you got to have the right amount of clothes. You take too many, or you get hot. It's a difficult place to be if you're, because you have to walk. Where we were, you couldn't take any vehicles, no pack mules, no 4-wheelers, anything like that. So here I am with all these Bigfoot experts. They know just about everything, but they're out there looking. They don't know everything, and they say they don't. They want to know more. We're still trying to figure out what these things are. A lot of people don't believe they exist. Well, okay, that's fine. If you knew as much as I did, they exist, and you'd also know we're not sure what they are. So we're out there, and they decided, hey, there's this canyon we know of, we heard about. They called it Blue Canyon. I'm not sure what it really was, but it's in a place near Pahrump, Nevada, Parumph, I think.
Oh, that's
what is this, a joke?
Pahrump is where my good buddy lived. Art Bell was in Pahrump.
No kidding.
No, it's seriously. I go up there
in the right place for weird.
Yeah, it is. I tell you that, and it's hot there too. I can tell you that.
Yeah, and every restaurant we went to was a casino, and they all still smoked. So that was wild. It's not, in Texas now, they've kind of refined here, and nobody smokes in the restaurants anymore. So that was a little shock. So we decided to go out to Pahrump, or this area. I'm not sure where it was. We drove and drove and drove, but we drove a half hour on this awful road. You just go, why would the road even be here? Whoever comes in here. So we get about a couple of miles away from it, and Don Monroe says, you gotta find the canyon. I go, what? I've never been here before. No, you gotta find it before we go. So look around. I know a little bit about optical illusions. I know how if hills overlap, you think it's the same hill, but there's actually a valley in there.